Sushant Sareen, this is also a day where Sajid Mir, a terrorist, a terrorist involved in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, India and America sought to have him sanctioned. China vetoed it. So that's a reality check of you attempt to checkmate China. China and Pakistan are there to checkmate India.
Yeah, Gaurav, but this is not new news. They have been doing it right from the time the 26/11 attacks happened. If you remember, even shortly after 26/11, the Chinese obstructed the designation of Hafiz Saeed as an international terrorist. They've been doing it all along. They've been doing it to every single Pakistani whose name comes up before the United Nations. And I've often said this, and I have no compunction saying it again. China is clearly one of the biggest supporters of terrorists the world over, especially in this region, especially of Pakistani terrorists. But look, this is where the dichotomy in the Chinese position comes. The Chinese have been part and parcel of the FATF, which really, squeezed the Pakistanis to shuck up on Sajid Mir. If you remember, the Pakistanis had declared that Sajid Mir did not exist.
Yeah.
Then they said he existed, but he had died. Then they said he had died, we found his grave. Then they actually, took him out of the grave and made him alive. The only person, in living memory who has been resurrected from the grave. And he apparently is now, supposedly at least, he is in jail. Now the Chinese were part and parcel of the squeeze that was put on the Pakistanis because Sajid Mir is a terrorist. And then for the Chinese to go in the UN and say that they are not going to be party to declaring this guy as a designated terrorist, or that they are looking for more information on this character, it's nothing short of being utterly disingenuous and duplicitous. So it's very clear what the Chinese game plan is. The question, however, Gaurav, is what is our game plan on how to deal with the Chinese? And I think on that, while we keep saying that it's not going to be business as usual, and in some things it is not any longer business as usual, but in many other things, especially in the economic realm, in many things it is still business as usual, and I wish we were to do something about it and stop that business as usual as soon as we can. I'm not going to use the word de-risking, I'm going to use the word decoupling.
Oh, absolutely. AVM Subramaniam, a short while back I had Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma with me on the broadcast, former Ladakh co-commander, and he said Chinese President Xi Jinping wants to be liked by the world. He wants China to be liked by the world. But be it COVID, be it China's wolf warrior diplomacy, be it the Belt and Road Initiative, be it Chinese actions at the line of actual control, or blocking action against terrorists like Sajid Mir or Zakir Rahman Lakhvi or Zarar Shah or Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, China does everything not to be liked. Do you agree that Sushant Sareen says, we need to have a better strategy on how to deal with China?
Of course, about President Xi Jinping wanting to be liked by the rest of the world. Look, there is an inherent contradiction in the way President Xi Jinping engages with the world, right? It is course. Suddenly, when you realize that that coercion is not paying the right kind of dividends, suddenly you tell your diplomacy to go soft and try and make friends around the world. It doesn't happen that way. If somebody like Deng Xiaoping, notwithstanding what happened at Tiananmen, made efforts over decades to project a moderate pace of China, and that is why Deng Xiaoping is who he was and who he is today. But there is an inherent contradiction in the way the coercive element of President Xi Jinping blends with his wanting to be liked. So I don't think that's going to work, because I think President Xi Jinping inherently has this inherent ability to sort of, putting it very, very crudely, to push people away, in the quest for power. And that's one thing. And when India's strategy, I have always talked about developing asymmetric strategies against a more powerful adversary like China, and building on your own strength rather than attempting to match China when it comes to building capability or when it comes to reducing the gap that exists in technology. You see, because the only way one can bridge the growing gap in various conventional sectors with China is through this whole process of leapfrogging. And leapfrogging is not easy, right? Particularly when we are in the midst of a whole Atmanirbhar initiative, wherein we are really attempting to consolidate internally our capabilities to build better all-round capabilities. I think leapfrogging is going to be extremely difficult.
Give me a moment, sir. These are the first images we see of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's pouring in Washington, D.C., and the Prime Minister steps out of Air India One. There is the Indian flag, the American flag, U.S. security forces there to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister is interacting with some children who are there at the airport. So there are young children, one little child presented a flower to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister, as always, interacting with children. And there is a lovely photo op. This is a picture that the children will remember. It will be, in their album for a very, very long time. As children in New York were telling India Today's reporters, they were very excited seeing the Prime Minister, meeting the Prime Minister, or the children who are waiting for Prime Minister Narendra Modi outside the Willard Hotel. It's pouring, it's raining in Washington, D.C., and you have a number of children ready to perform the Odissi. There are some others, the Odissi dance. There are some others who are waiting to perform the Bharatnatyam dance. And some children have actually flown in from other parts of America to Washington, D.C. to perform. And they're hoping that the Prime Minister would be there to watch this. So the Prime Minister is now being escorted to his cavalcade. And this is the official state visit. So you see the American flag, you see the Indian flag, you see the security forces giving a welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi as per protocol in a state visit.